Hey there, CPO here, and I'm just hanging out in Overclocked, and I have been checking out this book that I wanted to share with you. This is the Jeep Wrangler JK 2007 to present performance upgrades book. This is a new book, and it comes to us from CarTech. You can find them at cartechbooks.com. They have a bunch of books relating to the automotive industry. Obviously CarTech. Anyway, they've got this new book on the Jeep Wrangler that I've been reading, and wanted to share my thoughts with you, not only with regard to the book's contents and what it is about, but also a look at it from both a beginner Jeepers perspective and then even a more experienced Jeepers perspective, because I think it's important to know sort of what type of audience would benefit from this book. So the authors of this book are Don Alexander and Quinn Thomas. I don't know these guys. There is a fairly extensive bio in here about the authors, and it tells you a little bit about them. I mean, they come with some fairly decent credentials in the community of off-roading and Jeeping, but like I said, I don't know them. So there's a table of contents in here that kind of shows you exactly everything that's in the book. Chapter 1 is wheels and tires. Chapter 2, suspension, lifts, and steering. Chapter 3 is brake upgrades. Chapter 4 is bumpers, armor, and protection. Chapter 5 is drive lines, axles, and lockers. Chapter 6 is engines, engine swaps, and transmissions. Chapter 7 is styling and storage upgrades. Chapter 8 is electrical and lights. And Chapter 9 is winches, vehicle recovery gear, and trail tools. And then at the very end is a source guide where they basically have a list of the companies that were referenced throughout this book. Now, that is one thing sort of to mention. The downside of a print book like this, same thing with magazines, right, is they become out of date quickly as products change, manufacturers change. There's going to be a lot more products and a lot more manufacturers that are going to be in this book, either because obviously you can't fit them all into a book, but also because next year there may be a new company that comes out that just takes over a certain segment of the market. That's not going to be reflected in this book that was just released. But think of it like this. This book is a guide of conceptual information. So while there are some representative products and representative manufacturers, the way I see this is a conceptual illustration of these are the things you need to consider about buying certain types of products or certain types of performance upgrades. So even though there's a lot of focus on certain vendors, I wouldn't get too hung up specifically on the vendors and the products, but more what do these products benefit you in your Jeep Wrangler. Now, so I've read through a lot of this book. I will say I haven't read line by line. It's more of a technical guide than it is a cover to cover sort of a reader. But what I will say is I think this has great value for both the beginner Jeeper, so somebody who just bought a Jeep and they're like, where do I get started? I think this is the book that sort of lines out all the possible options and why you might want to make certain performance changes. And for that, I think it's really great. Now, for a more experienced Jeeper, I still think it's helpful because we go through different stages of experience. So even me, I've done a lot to my Jeep. I've got a lot of, I will say, experience in the last few years with my Jeep, but there are still plenty of things that I have to consider. Steering upgrades and even engine upgrades. I know there's a whole section in here on engine swaps and turbochargers and superchargers. That stuff is probably going to be in my future soon, so I'm going to check those out and sort of understand the differences. And for example, a great one is superchargers, right, versus turbochargers. So I mean, little things like that you're going to get out of this book that will be helpful for you regardless of your experience level. Now, oddly enough, I did find that there are a lot of things in here that remind me of my Jeep. A lot of things I've done to my Jeep are called out in here, and or a lot of things I plan to do to my Jeep. One thing I noticed, I seriously had to do a double take because This is the exact same wheel and tire combo I was running on overclocked like year one. The Mickey Thompson MM366 wheels and the Mickey Thompson ATZ P3 tires. I ran that exact combo. I was like, wait a second, where did they... Now that's not my Jeep, I don't think. It's got an anti-rock on it. I've never had an anti-rock, but it's like, oh, that's kind of fascinating. They talk about the Dynatrack Pro Grip upgrade, and I'm running that right now on overclocked. So it's kind of fascinating to go through here and take a look. But, you know, they talk about the difference in spring rates on springs. Now, granted, some of these are going to be manufacturer-specific things. You know, consider it gratuitous advertising for those vendors. But the theories and concepts will apply across the board. Now, there are always going to be errors in print. Anytime you print something and send it out, guaranteed somebody's going to find something wrong that you might have missed or an editor might have missed. If you don't believe that, send out a bunch of emails at work and then go back and proofread them when you're done. You'll always find something you wish you'd have caught before you hit send. This is one example of that. I was just reading through here, the Dynatrack Pro Rock 44s. I happen to have a Pro Rock 44 in the front, but what I notice here is they talk about the Dynatrack Pro Rock 44 rear axle assembly, which there is no such a thing. As a matter of fact, they have a picture of a front Pro Rock 44. So that's probably something that that got missed. So overall, I think this is a great reference to both beginners and experienced Jeepers. It's something good to have around the house or laying around the shop. And you know, it's not expensive, 26 bucks. Now, I will say right now, they are offering a discount of 35% off if you use the discount code Wrangler. If you go to cartechbooks.com and check out, that discount is only good for a couple of weeks from the time this video comes out. So take advantage of that quickly if you're going to do so. But yeah, I mean, Jeep books are cool. So I like the fact that somebody took the time to publish a book specific to the Jeep JK. There's a lot of us out there running with this particular Jeep, and it's nice to see something dedicated to helping us improve the performance on them. So anyway, guys, that's it. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.